Hi, this is Lissie, and you're listening to The Gareth Nelson Show.
Okay, we are joined by the fantastically talented Lissie on the Gareth Nelson Show today. Lissie, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, so how did you get started into music? What was the inspiration for you?
Well, ever since, I was little and I can remember I was always singing and making up songs, and as a pretty young child, was in dancing and singing classes and just loved to perform and loved to sing and always had a pretty loud, big voice. So I guess I'd say just kind of my whole life, really.
And what artists would you say inspired you to start singing and playing and writing songs?
Well, when I was young, I was really into musical theater. So I did, I was Annie in the musical Annie, and, I loved just performing and projecting. So I think musical theater in the beginning, but also Janet Jackson and Madonna.
Okay.
I just thought they were so fabulous. And then in high school, when I started playing guitar and really earnestly writing songs, it was a great time for women in music. Around the time I was 14 years old, it was Sheryl Crow and Tori Amos and Fiona Apple and all these awesome female artists who not only sang but wrote songs and played instruments and stuff.
And what would you say inspires you as a songwriter?
Really just my life experience. I think I have a very specific way in which my lyrics are pretty straightforward and literal. I really just write about whatever it is I'm going through. Just relationships and observations, and I try not to even really force writing. I just sort of use it as an outlet to get things kind of out of my system and off my chest and process them.
To express yourself, I suppose.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, I was the youngest of 4 kids, and I think, my parents were awesome, and I got a ton of attention, but I think music was, for me, kind of a way to feel like I was being heard, and I had a voice, and, ever since I was young, it was just a great way to sort of get attention, I think.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And how would you say your music's evolved from your first album to this last one, Castles?
Well, I don't know. I think just with maturity, even in my experience compared to Catching a Tiger, it's, they're both kind of about breakups, but really you can tell there's almost a little bit of a tiny bit of cynicism in Castles, but I think that just kind of the self-awareness and recognition of, patterns that kind of comes with age. And I think that shows in my songwriting as well. Kind of just growing up and starting to recognize things in yourself. So I think just as I mature, so does my, songwriting. And I think I've written enough songs now too. I do have sort of a sense of writing a good melody and a good chorus, and, being able to really structure songs in a more immediate way than maybe when I started out when I was younger.
Well, it's an absolutely beautiful album, I must say. And so tell us about this new album. I mean, are you enjoying pushing it out there and taking this music to people?
Well, thank you very much. And
Pleasure.
yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's been fun to tour it. A lot of the songs on the new record didn't really call for rhythm guitar, so it's kind of, for me, a first time touring where I'm not playing guitar on every song. So there's maybe 6 or 7 songs where I'm just free to move and with the mic and sort of put my body more into the songs. So it's been fun to do that, and I still have a lot of old songs I need to play. So I'm still exploring which, in the set, how many of my old songs to combine with the new songs. So yes, I'm enjoying kind of learning with the audience, what off the new record works live and what people want to hear.
Absolutely.
No, but just that it's been fun. I've gotten a lot more laid back, as I've aged, in terms of I don't know, I'll go out and play music and just kind of see what happens. I don't really have any expectations of anything.
Just have fun, yeah.
Have fun. Try to get some sleep and have fun.
Absolutely. And some career highlights for you, things that have stood out in your long career?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think back in 2009, which was kind of personally a really difficult year for me was probably one of the most important years for my career. I made Catching a Tiger. I met my band, were no longer my band just because they live in California and Colorado, and I'm living back in Iowa. But I, met my bandmates of many years in 2009 and opened for Ray LaMontagne. And 2009, 2010 were really, I think for me, the first time where I really felt like, wow, I actually have a career. And my album went gold in the UK and Norway. And
oh, wow.
I'm playing Glastonbury, and I'm on the Jules Holland show.
Yes.
So that all felt very like it's almost a blur. Like it was all just kind of happening to me, and it was just really exciting.
Yes, I'm sure. And how would you describe the state of the music in the world at the moment? I mean, do you think there's a shift away from, say, rock music, guitar-based music?
Yeah, I do. I mean, to be honest, and it's kind of an obnoxious answer because I really don't listen to a whole lot of music because it's just not really like my go-to for relaxing. I kind of like to watch TV or listen to podcasts or just do stuff outside and be silent. But I do think that rock music is not as popular as it used to be. I know people still love the classics, and there are a lot of great guitar-driven bands. But of course, I think you see EDM kind of music is really what is predominant and popular, and like hip hop and rap, which is fine. But yeah, I think there still is actually like a good fan base out there for singer-songwriters and stuff too. So, but I can't think of really any big rock bands.
Yeah, that's sort of coming through.
I don't know if you really call Coldplay a rock band or not, but
yeah, true.
Yeah.
And what would your advice be to young artists? I mean, I'm an up-and-coming artist myself, for example. What would you say to someone like me now on how to pursue a music career?
It's hard to say because I think for me, I was sort of lucky in that the industry was still kind of more intact when I was coming out. So I had a label that paid for me to go on tour and to make records. And now I'm independent. But if it hadn't have been for those early years of having kind of a little bit of muscle behind me, I don't know if I would have gotten as far. But I think it's all like, I think it's a lot about what drives you. I think if an artist is just somebody who wants to be famous or make a lot of money, I don't think those are very good motives. I think you have to really believe in your ability to like express yourself, and as long as you continue to believe in it and are willing to it's a hustle, it's hard work. I think you have to realize you have to be away from home a lot. Like it's hard to maintain relationships. You're kind of always on the grind. So I think it sounds cliche, but like believe in yourself and work hard and know that it's, a lifelong process. I think for me, I haven't had like really fast success, but I'm maintaining at a level that allows me to do what I want to do. So I think it's about expectations and motivation. But I think like, you have to really believe in what you do. And it, again, is cliche. Like, don't like give up or get discouraged. Because I think sometimes even when people still kind of discount me or count me out, I kind of get a little motivated by that too. Of like, I don't care if everyone else thinks I'm a dork. Like, I believe in what I'm doing, and I will show you that I can do this. Like when I moved back to Iowa and I was independent, it was like, I thought people were like, oh, well, you're just delusional. You're going to disappear. And it's like, no, I'm going to keep doing my thing and connecting with my fans. I mean, fans are so important.
Yes.
They're what matter. If you have a group of people who are interested in what you do, you foster that relationship,
Absolutely.
So
I mean, that's
the
fans that count.
If you believe in yourself, it's important.
Absolutely. Well, what great advice there, I must say. And then can I ask, as a woman in the music industry, especially now we've seen the big Me Too movement happening, etc., how have you found it as a woman in the music industry?
I mean, I think for me, I've been fortunate in that it's not really been so hard for me in terms of like feeling like anyone ever put any pressure on me to do anything creepy. I haven't experienced that. I think early on, maybe people were hoping I would try to sort of like play up my looks or do my hair or wear makeup or like wear cool clothes or have more of an image. But I think they do that to men too, in terms of like image and style. So maybe there were times where I felt like I could have tried harder to be pretty or something, but I've always been really stubborn. So like, I think if there was ever some thing where it was like, oh, you're a girl, like it didn't even faze me. I just like kept going, but I know a lot of women have experienced like, people putting pressure on them to either change or like engage in some action that they're not comfortable with. But I haven't experienced that. And actually right now it's been really fun because we have an equal amount of women on the road as we do men. And it's made for like a really fun dynamic, like on the road. Like it's probably one of the best kind of tours I've been on because you just have like this great half girls, half guys vibe. It's wonderful. It's so nice.
And what do you think about this sort of relationship between the big record labels and the sort of independent music scene that's coming about now? I mean, a lot of people are using social media to get their music out there. Do you think that's a way to go for young artists?
I don't know. I mean, yes, I think so. I think what's hard is that it's so much easier now to like create. I mean, you don't even really have to be able to sing or play an instrument to make a great album. It's like such interesting times. I mean, it's like playing a video game is what is now a way of making music. It's like just push a button. I do think that it's good and it's great to have the tools of like the internet and social media, but I also think there's such a saturation of artists. I mean, there's so many more artists now and there's so much more music. It's just hard to find. There's so much great stuff. It's like, the old days I think kind of left a lot of creative people out in the dark, but at least there was more of like become aware of like, oh, this is what's happening in music. I think now there's just so much music. I don't really know how it gets found.
How do you stand out?
Again, I don't know. I think I was lucky because I had like the major deal in the beginning, which sort of helped me stand out. And then I worked hard to like kind of maintain that fan base. I don't know. I wish I had a better. I'm like kind of old now, 35. Like I feel like I'm kind of come from a different era in a strange way. But I think like, even just working with Spotify on this new record, like how important Spotify is now.
And streaming,
as important as radio. And I know artists like kind of wanted to fight against that because it doesn't pay like record sales do. But now, if you get put on a big Spotify playlist, I mean, that can be more exposure for you than getting on the radio.
Absolutely.
So I think everything's just it's changing so much that I would kind of hesitate to sort of just pretend to know what anyone should do. But I think like, good old fashioned live shows, you could always jump, that was when I moved back to Iowa. It's like, if you're an artist and you're young and you want to get out there, yes, you can, get followers on Instagram and stuff. But if you can like hop in your truck and your acoustic guitar or your laptop and just go from city to city for years and years and years and years, eventually you'll just have enough people that continue
hopefully
to show up to see you
that can relate to you.
There's ways, like you build those relationships. I mean, that's what I hope for myself, is that I don't know that I've ever been like particularly hip, but I've gotten to a place where I feel like if I were 70 years old, that I could show up in Norway with an acoustic guitar and people would still want to come and see that.
I believe they will.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm banking on. So I think like being able to put on a good live show, afraid to just hustle for years on end, is an important component.
Absolutely. And that live craft, as it were.
And like, putting together a good live show. But I know that there's artists that have like number ones on the charts and then they tour and like nobody really comes to see them because they're not live bands, and they do really well too. So I don't really know what other people do.
It has to be about yourself, I suppose, and what you do and how you know it.
Yeah, exactly. And so what do you play? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with your music.
Oh, well, I'm based in South Africa actually, so my stuff is out here, more relatively out here, so that's why you probably... But I was actually going to ask you if I could send one of my tracks to you, but I'll ask you after the interview.
Oh, yes. No, because I just knew I was speaking with somebody today, and I didn't know exactly who, because everything's always just kind of hectic on the road.
Yes.
So when you sent me that text, I was like, I think he's from South Africa.
My show goes to the UK and South Africa.
Send me some links.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted to ask you, this broadcast will be going to South Africa, so when can we expect you in South Africa?
I have no idea. It's a place I've always wanted to come and visit.
Oh, you must.
So hopefully I make it there. I mean, that's sort of where I've gotten to a little bit with my career. Is like, I know that if I just sort of stick to like Western Europe and the States, like people will show up. So I haven't really like pursued the places where I need to start from the beginning. But, and I have this farm now, so I have like a lot of things that I want to be home to do on my land.
Yes, of course.
So it's sort of like I'm trying to figure out how can I tour and make the money to then be home and have like my home life and like my farm
that
stuff
balance,
as I sort of set up conservancy efforts and things. So that sort of made me less, interested maybe in like going to new places and starting from scratch. But I am only 35, so hopefully I'll have time. Hopefully, if in South Africa, if you like show up when you're 40 with a guitar, people will come to listen.
Oh, they will. I can guarantee it. So. And actually, I play you a lot in my shows, so people are definitely hearing it.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate that. That's great.
It's only a pleasure. And what does the future hold for you now? I mean, in terms of touring, where would you like to take your music career and your career?
Well, I think I will continue to promote castles, really probably throughout the next year or two. I'd say around 2020, I want to get some chickens and donkeys and horses and cows and ducks and raise animals, and then still be able to go on tour. So I don't know. I think the future just for me is like continue to just sort of honor myself and my truth, and make music and in a manner that's authentic and natural, like not to really force anything. And I'll just like kind of just keep touring, and I would like for things to grow to where maybe like anywhere I went, like if anywhere I went like 3,000 people would come, that would be, I think, a sweet spot. I would like that because touring's expensive and you want to do it right. So it's sort of like if I could get just a little bit bigger so that I could get more like syncs and maybe have, more people come see me, but not get like arena size. Because even today I was like getting off the bus in my pajamas, having my coffee. And, I haven't taken a shower in like 3 days. And I was like, what if I was so famous that like I couldn't do that? Like, that would suck. Like to get off your bus and have just like 100 people like waiting there to like take your picture and like bother you.
And surrounding you, absolutely.
I don't think that doesn't sound fun at all. That sounds like living in like a prison of your own creation. So, I think trying to temper, like, I like it when people know my music but they don't know what I look like. So like just trying to continue to figure out how I can be successful and also just remain just normal and have like a life outside of
and just be you,
my music. Yes, exactly. So we'll see. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's been like kind of a really crazy year so far. Just a lot of things have changed in my life, and I just have learned like you just have to go with the flow and see what happens
and take it as it comes.
Yeah.
Well, Lissie, thank you so much for being my guest today on the Gareth Nelson Show. It's been absolutely awesome chatting to you. And
yes, thank you. It's my pleasure, and thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. And like I said, we hope to get you out in South Africa sometime soon, and hopefully have you as a guest on the Gareth Nelson Show again.
Yes, and please send me. You have my info now, obviously. Send me some links to your music, and I look forward to listening to it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, and I'll see you someday in South Africa, if not somewhere else sooner.
If not somewhere else sooner. Okay. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.